Hello, and welcome back to Cozy with Chelsea, a podcast to nourish your mind, body, and soul. I am Chelsea, your host, of course, and today on the podcast we have Jyoti Lohman. Jyoti is the founder of The Beauty Way, which is a luxury body care brand rooted in ritual, wellness, and intentional self-care. Inspired by the Navajo philosophy of Hózhó, living in beauty, balance, and harmony, The Beauty Way transforms everyday routines into meaningful moments of nourishment and connection. She does have a background in product development and marketing and a 12-year career in upscale fashion. She brings together elevated aesthetics and intention into everything that she creates. And after years of traveling the world with her husband and also as a stay-at-home mom raising their two children, she launched The Beauty Way to share her lifelong passion for clean ingredients, self-care rituals, and beauty that begins from within. She is now based in Austin, Texas, and continues to inspire women to slow down, reconnect with themselves with a purposeful pause and glowing skin. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Yes. So happy to be here. I love all the guests you have and all the topics you have, and I love Cozy, and I'm so happy to be here.
And I love what you're doing. I wonder, for anyone who hasn't found The Beauty Way yet, how would you describe it in your own words? What's the feeling that you want someone to have when they first encounter your products?
Well, I think cozy or like a warm hug.
Yeah.
I created this when I was postpartum with my daughter, about a year postpartum. And I've always been a lover of products and love clean products and also love an elevated aesthetic and a spa experience. So I really wanted to create something that brought that in-home spa experience. So the textures are all very velvety and luxurious. And as you're sort of using the products, it's like this warm hug or this cozy feeling. And the mantras were something, as you are postpartum or just overwhelmed and busy, there's a lot of self-talk and it can get, negative, and our mind is so powerful. And I just felt like creating something that was like tactile and sensorial mixed with positive self-talk. It is a warm hug for your body and soul. The scent in there is this light citrus with some pink peppercorn and ginger. So it's warming and sophisticated. And it really is supposed to be just this sensorial body and soul care is what I love to call it. So that's what I'm hoping for people to feel when they try it. And that sort of transition to then creating treatments in spas, which is kind of the next chapter that I've been going into.
I love the idea that you have ritual incorporated into all of your products. Obviously, mantras, affirmations, those are things I have used personally myself. They actually changed my life.
Yes.
Also use it with my clients. And it seems like something simple, but really a mantra can change your entire life. That's what I believe.
Fully. My mom taught me about mantras early on as a young person. And I think it's just always helped. It truly has changed my life. Have you ever read the Louise Hay book, Heal Your Body?
I'm reading it right now, actually.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Right? Life-changing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So my mom gave that to me when I was 16. And just finding the balance between like the mental and the physical. So you're in it and I love it. It's so good. But that was really sort of my introduction to mantras and how much our physical, not only our physical, but our emotional wellness is just, they're so tied. And so the affirmations are truly life-changing and they feel so simple. But if you find that one that really resonates with, where you're at, and then it's the repetitive, it's science, right? This is not like a woo-woo thing. Like, I'm just going to speak kindly to myself. It's like you can really change the way that your brain is functioning when you say those positive words. And, you do have to believe them, but sometimes that takes time too. Like you just start to say things and you start to believe them. It's just like anything negative. Whatever you're saying about your body or whatever you're saying about yourself, it really grounds into who you are. So I think when you have those positive affirmations, it's so, so, so powerful. And the reason I thought the mantras would be so powerful with the body care is something, or skincare is something you do every day, right? So even if it's for that moment, you're saying those positive words, touch is so powerful. And as you're doing that intentional touch, putting on the lotion, putting on the oil, and saying those positive words, I think those little things are what add up to big change. And I needed that so much in postpartum. And so that just sort of springboarded it. And now it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not this huge thing that's going to take 45 minutes, or you have to buy a new contraption, or you have to, it's really simple changes.
Yeah. And it's interesting about affirmations because it is very possible that I did not believe them when I first started repeating them. And I guess I'm saying affirmations and mantras, but I think they're similar. But
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally same thing.
But I absolutely didn't believe it at first. And eventually you get to a place where it becomes it. And like you said, yeah, it's a little woo woo, but it's also neuroscience.
Well, you start to see the changes. And there's when, with the Louise Hay book, there was physical ailments that I was working with, and sort of looking at that root cause of the emotional piece of that, and then saying my mantras, I got myself out of physical ailments. So I think once you start to see those things work, it's now just become a part of my life. And they do change. Right now, I'm working a lot on alignment and presence. But it changes. It changes. I think just coming out of Maycember and having young kids and having all these ways of managing a house, of all these ways that we are pulled, I come back to that body care, body and soul care. And every single time I'm in the shower or using the products, I take a deep breath. And sometimes that's the only time in the day, as busy people. So it's really something that's changed my life.
I love the ritual that you have with it. It's interesting because something that I do when I'm very overwhelmed or overstimulated is I actually use a shower as kind of like a stepping into something else. It becomes,
Yeah.
and I actually imagine like the negative energy being washed off of me. What I've incorporated into it is actually applying lotion. And it's just so funny that we're speaking because after the shower, what I'll do, and I'll do it specifically slowly.
Yes.
Right? So it's like it almost becomes a somatic, it is a somatic practice too.
Yes.
So I love what you're doing. And I also think now I need to get some of your lotion.
I'm like, you're my dream client. Like, you totally understand. It's the slowness. This is 5 or 10 minutes, right? This is not like this huge chunk of time that you need to carve out, but it is a somatic practice, and it really does sort of start to rewire, and it's like that reset. And I love what you do with the water. And that was, again, part of the reason I have shower products in the components, because it's such a powerful vision to say, really rinsing any of that negativity or even that overwhelm. And it doesn't have to be negative, right? It could just be overwhelm or overstimulation or all the different things that we deal with as modern women. And water is so cleansing in and of itself, right? Anytime you're in water, it's healing. So I think using your shower in that way is such a great practice that you can feel your body, your shoulders kind of lower, your jaw kind of unclenches, and being mindful, if it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, being mindful in those moments is really powerful. And it doesn't have to be like a meditation where you're sitting there for a half hour or 15 minutes. It can be something that you're already doing, right? You're sort of habit stacking. Like, I'm already going to take a shower. I'm already going to be putting on the lotion. So really making that meaningful and intentional.
I completely agree with that. I'm curious too. I mean, I hear you talking about postpartum and that being part of the reason that you created the brand, but can you take us to that moment, or I guess accumulation of moments, that made you say, I'm going to build this?
So yes, and it's kind of a 3-part story. I talk about timing a lot. We can be ready, and like the universe needs to kind of sort of meet us halfway. And in 2013, before clean beauty was even a thing, it was something that I was very much raised with. My mom was this very interesting mix of, like, she was kind of like a luxurious hippie. So we would get, I think I had a facial at 6. But we would be making all these clean products, but like definitely always had my nails done, and like working on my Reiki degree at like 5, but also got my colors done. So she was like this really cool mix of sort of, all of these really grounding practices, but make it beautiful, which I think is like a lot of my inspiration for the brand. She's very much my muse, because also in a time in the 80s when self-care was not a buzzword and not something that people felt comfortable doing, she was really someone that she would go on retreats, and she would do energy work, and she would get massage therapy, and she would move her body. We had some stressful stuff growing up. My brother was in and out of the hospital, and I really watched her take care of herself. And I always noticed it, and I always thought, like, okay, she's, doing these different practices for herself. And then she showed up like 1,000% for us because I think her cup was full. And now that's something that we have conversations about and we have support groups about and we have mom groups about it. But then it wasn't a thing. And I think it was just something, she's such a seeker and she was just so intentional about her time then. So I had created this line 13 years ago with a lot of these ideas, but the timing wasn't right. I ended up meeting my husband. We decided to get married on our third date. It's a whole nother wild story.
Okay.
Yeah, we're married 13 years this year. So the timing wasn't right. And then I sort of started to restarted another 2 years later. And that the mantras were included in that part of it. But it was really after my daughter was born. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And it was that postpartum time where I just didn't feel, I wasn't comfortable in my skin. There was just all these kind of uncomfortable things going on. And I think one, I needed to make sure that I was taking a bath, doing the resetting, showering. Sometimes you're so sleep deprived and sort of rebalancing everything that this one day, I just started thinking about what brought me joy and connection back to myself outside of being a wife and a mom and a daughter and a friend. And it was always working and creating products. And then the mantras I've just have interlaced my whole existence. And so it was like really kind of this light bulb went off and went, oh, right, that's that thing I love. And right now I need it so much. And so I just started making stuff at home again, did some little like sales at my house of stuff I had made. And I started really using those mantras. And it just became so powerful that there was like, okay, I'm doing this. And it was the right time. I had gained some of the experience of motherhood. And I think that changes you so foundationally, or changed me so foundationally. And I felt really qualified and really confident to step into this next role. And all of those thoughts of my mom really, she went back to acupuncture school at 40, when we were little, really watching her step back into her calling and who she is as a woman. And it was just so awesome to watch her do that. And then I saw myself going, and I had my daughter at 40. So it was a very similar time where I just went, okay, it's time to step back into that. And it was such a natural progression because there had been all of this buildup, the years prior, and the timing wasn't right. And I wasn't quite in the space where I could really bring it to life like I had now. And I just think my babies helped me move that part of myself forward. It was a culmination of things. And then it was just a light bulb went, oh, right. And then I just started doing it. And I went, this works. I'm feeling, like this really works. And I just started feeling more comfortable in my skin and more confident in my abilities. And I just started going. And I launched when I was 42. So, like a later in life sort of career, but I actually heard a lot of women do career changes like 39 to 42 is like a time where things start to shift and you go like, what's my next half look like?
Yeah, that's really incredible. Also, your mom sounds amazing. So
she's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. She named me Jyoti, which is an Indian Sanskrit word you hear a lot in chanting, and it means inner light. And she wanted me to always remember my light.
Yeah.
So that was a powerful way to come into the world. And I told her I always do because I have to explain it every day.
Yeah.
We're like, what's your name?
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it did. It did work. Yeah, she sounds really great. And it sounds like she inspired a lot in your life, right? But also the
yes.
brand itself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the brand itself, but just a lot of just pulling all that. I was just kind of able to, when I was able to sort of birth this, I call this my third baby. The Beauty Way is my third baby. I brought all the sort of culmination of all of the lessons that she had taught me. And then my own journey in life and as a mother and how I knew I wanted to feel. And again, it feels so simple, like we're just saying mantras and using body care, but it really was something that shifted for me. And it's just been an incredible journey creating this. And like I said, now with these treatments, I'm able to sort of bring this warm hug or this cozy feeling like into these treatment rooms that are these beautiful resets for men and for women. And then the smell comes back and the texture and the mantra. So you can really bring that home.
Well, I was thinking too how incredible it is. I mean, it's great that your postpartum was like a catalyst to realizing the self-care that you needed and being able to incorporate that into what you created, but also doing it, like creating all of this right after postpartum too is pretty inspiring. I can't imagine it was, it's
It was,
work, right?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
ambitious. I think now launching with 5 products after being a stay-at-home mom for 4 years was a bit ambitious, especially without a business degree. I have a product development degree, but no business degree or being a chemist or being in beauty or anything really that was related to that. I mean, so many of the skills translate. And I think most important sort of skill or foundation of this is that I love creating products and I just know how much the affirmations work and then really creating products that are really effective and have natural actives. And so you have this blend of really beautiful, soft, glowing skin, which makes you feel good on the outside with this sort of interior feel good. So I loved mixing those two, but it was ambitious and it was ambitious, but I just kind of brick by brick and I set a very clear intention when I started this business. The Beauty Way is what I wanted this company to feel like, is that balance and that connection and that harmony with yourself, with nature. The Navajo prayer is called Walking in Beauty. If you get a chance to look up the prayer, it's really a beautiful way to start the day. And when I heard what that meant, that feels like what I want this journey for me to be and what I want to share with other people. So now looking back, thinking like I had no experience, I think there's a healthy level of delusion that I had about being able to launch something so big with really no contacts or like knowing people or working in the industry. But it's been built so much on passion and what I know really works. And then being a product expert just from being a consumer and really, I loved skincare. I love taking care of my skin. I love those rituals. I talk about turning your routine into a ritual because why not? And so, yeah, it's been 2.5 years now, and I really just started from scratch. And it's amazing to see kind of the relationships that I've created and being in this spa industry that I've found myself in has been incredible. It's like the most kind people ever because they're just like in spas all day.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like just getting these amazing treatments and everything's like low light and quiet, right? You're like, it's like such a nervous system reset. Like every time I go, I'm like, oh, I just went to, I'm going to be launching in the Miraval Resort here in Austin in June. Okay, so this month. And I was there yesterday and it was like, I got there and I just took such a deep breath and I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I want to work with these places. Just such a great
Mhm.
nervous system reset.
Yeah, not a bad place to work
Not a bad
of
place
all
to
the
work.
options.
Of all the options, yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. The treatment that I'll be taking over at Miraval is one of the treatments that I get there. So I cannot wait to go have a treatment with my stuff there and just a little reset.
Yeah, that's so great. Why don't you tell us about that? Because I've always, when we first spoke, you mentioned Miraval, and I've always wanted to go there. And I have friends in Austin who have been to that Miraval.
You were saying
But
that.
I'm curious, can you speak about that?
Yeah.
What you'll be offering at Miraval?
Yeah. Miraval was such a natural fit. They have 2 treatments called, one is Flourish, one is Serenity. And those are sort of a treatment that's been created and will just, the beauty ways, it's so seamless. They're using a salt scrub, so it's going to be so nice to be using the sugar scrub. It's just a little softer. The salt can be a little dehydrating, so the sugar has some naturally occurring glycolic. It's got some AHAs in there, and then it's got a lot of shea nut and all these vitamin rich oils. It's going to be a very hydrating, very exfoliating, very yummy. And then the scrub is wonderful on the scalp as well. And I don't know if you've seen like head spas popping up a lot lately, but there are a lot here in
Hmm.
Austin. And so we've incorporated some of that scalp health. And there's another one we're working on called Abundance. And that is using the oil as a scalp massage and then also on your hair with some hot towels, followed by a really nice massage and then followed by the cream. So it's just this like cloud of hydration and cozy. We'll be launching with those 2 first and then working on that third one. The polish is just a standout product. I think a lot of, like I was saying, a lot of exfoliators are a little too rough and can be kind of inflammatory, or they're just not hydrating. So this is a really special one with all of those mixes. So at the proper, we start with this is called the Beauty Way ritual. There's some sound healing. There's some light breath work. It starts with the cleansing foot ritual with the polish. So I traveled the world to do research on ancient beauty treatments. And that was one of my favorite ones in Bali. I love the idea of getting the dust off the day. And your feet are so much part of the grounding, right? Your feet are, it's just like how we move in the world. So I love starting with sort of a cleansing and grounding ritual there.
It's so funny, everything you're saying. So, your mom, the way that you speak about her is reminding me of my best friend's mom. And she was my like go to. And now I consider her, she's my friend, in addition to my best friend's mom and also my mentor. But she does a lot of her whole thing is self care. And she always talks about the feet specifically because I think a lot of people don't think about that, but she has a course and there's specifically a part about just taking care of your feet. She had a class and we were all on it live on Zoom, but in our own rooms. And she's like, okay, now like she had oil and it was like being intentional about how you're rubbing your feet. And I'm like rubbing my foot on Zoom. But yeah, yeah, she's great. But at first it was kind of like odd. But after you do it, you realize, oh, I should be doing this every day, actually.
It's a ritual that I do in the evening. I get into bed, I get my oil, I do my neck, décolleté, arms, hands, also hands, right? Giving and receiving. And then I always do my feet. And my feet are one of the things that I'm really intentional about for the reasons that I learned in Bali. So right there with her. Oil on the feet
Yeah.
every night.
Yeah. I love how it sounds like you've put a lot of care and intention and attention to detail into your products. And I always think it's so great when okay, not to hate on other products, but I feel like there's so many products where I'm like, have you actually used this yourself? Like like I have a journal because I journal a lot and I'm very picky when it comes to journals. And it's always like if they don't open fully or lay flat, it's like
Oh, yeah.
I'm supposed to be writing in this thing.
And you're like, who designed this?
Yeah. And I have specific journals where I can tell, okay, these people really actually journal. These are journalers that created this. And I'm just getting that feeling from you and your products is, you've lived this, you've embodied what your brand is about, and you've created, products that really will have that same experience for the people that use it.
Exactly. I'm very particular about a lot of things my husband likes to say. But I think that really served me when I was creating this, because something you may not know about beauty, because I don't think most people know this, but they say you can have a product in 6 to 12 weeks. Here's the thing, just find the thing, put your label on it and sell it. And that was not something that I would ever do, and not something that that doesn't even make sense to me. I was so particular about how I wanted it to feel, how I wanted it to perform, how I wanted it to smell, how I wanted it to make all the sensorial, tactile things were so important to me. And so it took me years. It took me years, over 2 years, to create everything. And again, 5 products is very ambitious to do with 2 little kids at home, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. But that was so important to me. And with all of the packaging, same sort of thing. So the cream has a little twist top, because when I was creating it, I'd be in the bathroom putting my lotion on, and the ones that came off just was too much energy. I was so postpartum and tired. I'm like taking it off and having to put it back on. I was like, this is too much work. And I actually lost one because I had the 2 toddlers running around, and they would pick up a cap that I took off and take off. And then the one that just kind of flips up would break off. Because again, like my kids were playing with it, and when they're doing all, you put them in their little seat and you take your shower and then you're using your products, and things would just get broken. So I did a twist because it's just one, really easy, and it's not going to get lost. I love to travel, and I usually love to have my nice stuff. So the oil completely locks for travel. I did the frosted glass so that the sunlight didn't erode any of the ingredients. I have a little scoop with my soak because that is the exact amount that I put in my bath.
Yeah.
And I think people tend to use like, what is it? The magnesium. I'm trying to think of the salt right now and it's evading me. But you
Epsom
just,
salt?
Epsom salt, thank you. People just
Mm.
pour it in. And so they buy mine and it's 8 ounces and they're like, well, how? And I'm, no, no, no. The scoop is so intentionally done. You do 2 scoops and it's going to make a milky bath and you're going to be so silky. And my mom helped me a lot with the product development piece because she's got older skin and she's also very olive. Did not get that beautiful olive skin, but I'm younger and have very fair skin. So it was just these like different ages and then these really different skin types. She's never been able to use oil. So yeah, I really worked with different skin types. You usually can't use the same product because it's just too heavy or it's not enough hydration. So that was really helpful. But yeah, I really worked on those formulas with a chemist. And my name is on this. So I wasn't going to put out something that was just done. They like to say done, not perfect. But if I don't have a great product, people aren't going to repurchase or try it. So it's been really important to me that it was something that I created step by step, wasn't just something I put my label on.
And I think, yeah, making sure the experience is what your customers are looking for, I think is, yes, done, not perfect, but also if it's perfect, that's great. But when it comes to the intention and like you just said, purposeful pause, I mean, can you actually explain, what does that purposeful pause look like? Especially if you are someone who's, I mean, even like both of us juggling work, kids, what does it look like?
Well, I think it's just for me, it's that shower or it's that moment before bed, what I talked about with the oil. It's being intentional about pausing, using the products and saying those mantras. And like I said, every time I do that, my shoulders lower and I unclench my jaw and I take a deep breath. And a lot of the times I like to repeat the mantra, the polish is I create beauty and abundance in my life. And that's just such a, like, yes, who doesn't want beauty and abundance? And it's like saying that just goes, yeah, that's right. Or my body wash is I am in alignment with my heart's desire. And that is like that mantra was like the root of how I created this brand is I am in alignment with my heart's desire. And I was desiring to create something. Again, I'm using these every day because this is something I do in the shower. It's not something I have to add to the already crazy busy schedule of balancing children and a marriage and a household and a business. So this is built into something that I'm already doing. And it's taking a deep breath, doing that somatic practice and saying those words. And it's daily. And then I love that the one I told you about at night is the oil. And that's my favorite. That's the thing I look forward to. I look forward to my tea in the morning and I look forward to that moment with my oil because it also makes you feel so soft. And it's just like, oh, it's like baby skin. And it just feels good, you know? It's just this very sensual feeling when you're so
Mhm.
hydrated and soft and I choose happiness. And I just think it's the thing that I like to say before I really lay down to go to sleep. And it's something that I choose.
I love that you use the word sensual because I think oftentimes we don't think about being sensual with ourselves. And I think it's a key piece of self-care because sensual mean it's just being with the senses, right? Having a sensual experience.
Yes.
And I think that's really important.
I love that word.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I do pottery sometimes. I remember telling someone, well, of course, it's the same person I've been talking about this whole time, but I was telling her, and she was saying pottery is a sensual
Yes.
activity. And I had never thought of it in that way, but it is. It absolutely is.
It is because it's all the senses and you're feeling it with your hands and just the texture of the clay is sensual,
Mhm.
right? I think it was even in my product brief, and the chemist was probably like, okay. But sensual is one of those words that I just use because when you're really soft and something's velvety and the texture like clay, it's really a sensual experience. And that feels so nurturing to
Mm.
have that, to be sensual, you know? I think like really soft sheets or like fabric cashmere is very sensual, right? Silk is very
Yeah.
sensual. So these natural fabrics or the clay or the cream and the oil is just very sensual. Just the texture of it just glides on and melts in. And so I always, that's part of experience, is that sensual feeling of the actual product. And that was something that I really had to work on, because a lot of creams you just put on and you move on. And again, that smell, right? That full sort of body experience.
Yeah, all the senses. Smell, touch. Well, maybe we're not tasting, but most of them, most of the senses.
Well, the polish is really great on your lips. That's something that I found
Okay,
lately. I've been
okay.
doing the polish on my lips. So you do taste it, and it's sugar, so it's quite good. So that one's
Yeah.
that's a five senses. Oh, no, you
Okay.
don't hear. I guess you kind of hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure you do. Okay, well, before we end, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with?
We touched on it, but the thing I just love to say is that when we're feeling, which is most of the time, overstimulated and overwhelmed, whatever you've got going on, I think a lot of times we feel like we have to do this huge overhaul. Wellness and joy is not adding a ton of things or taking away a bunch of the things I love. It's finding the things that work in your lifestyle. So I don't have a 16-step morning routine. I have some quiet time, some mantra time, my tea time, and some goal writing. I do journaling, but we don't need to add all of these things to have a wellness practice. It's finding the things that really work for you. And I would venture to say that taking 5 to 10 minutes of creating a sensual practice with something that you're already doing and saying an affirmation or the ones on the products really do set you up for success. And I love to bookend. I love the morning and I love an evening. And again, this is not longer than a few minutes, but it's bookending those days and taking that time for you. I think the last thing I'll say is that we focus a lot on presence. Women are constantly like, how do you balance it all? How do you do presence? We're talking about presence with everything else. And I think that's might be the problem. So if you can build that presence in with yourself, it helps me to manage all the things, because I do want a big life. I want a big life, and I want to be doing all the things and have a great marriage and have great kids and have a great career. And those sensual practices really help me to show up for myself and for others.
Yeah, I mean, being present with yourself, I find being present with yourself and taking care of yourself is what's going to allow you to show up in all those other areas. I think that being
Thousand
present with
percent.
yourself actually comes first.
It's got to. You've got to be your number
Yeah.
one, because then, and that was the thing that my mom really taught me, is that, she was her number one. And I mean that in the way that she carved out that time, in a time where, like your best friend's mom, your friend,
Yeah.
where it wasn't something that people did. It was much more, cool to be a martyr and doing everything for your family. I just don't think the awareness was there. And I think that she just was a kind of ahead of the game. And I just really connected with it after I had kids, and you're just physically so tired. I think presence with yourself, that's what I would leave with anyone and with your audience, is try to have that presence with yourself, and don't make it a 30-minute meditation and then an hour workout and then getting on the vibrating plate and then doing red light therapy and then 45 supplements. Have some presence with yourself. It doesn't even have to be meditation. The mantras end up refocusing yourself like a meditation would. So ways to fit it into your lifestyle instead of overhauling, because those are generally not sustainable.
Absolutely agreed. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And then I always ask my guests this, but what is making you cozy this week?
So this is another something I do at night, and it really is just tea. And I know that's a silly cozy thing, but I found this local tea maker. It's called Peach Pollen, and she makes this chamomile blend. And every time, it's kind of that same thing for me. Every time I drink it in the evening, my shoulders lower, and I relax. So I watch myself do that. So I've made sure that's part of my evening routine. And again, it's just a tea, but it's the ritual of it and it's the consistency. I think that's the other thing, is anything you do consistent is going to help you move forward. So it's just a really nice cup of tea. It makes me feel so cozy. no matter what time of year, even when it's 95 degrees here. I'm cozy.
Yeah.
I'm cozy with my warm tea in the evening,
Yeah.
making that my ritual. My kids know about it. The other thing I would say is that I do this reset bath on Sunday nights. I don't take a bath too many nights, but it's in the family calendar. It's
Okay.
a bath reset on Sunday evening. And of course, I use my products, but really it's just, again, that ritual and that consistency of taking that time to sort of reset before, weekends are busy. We've got swim team and we've got someone's birthday party and we've got friends in town. And so that Sunday reset helps me just to sort of reset. I don't do work. I don't work on the weekends. I try not to anyway.
Yeah.
And I just do that reset. And the warm water just always makes me feel so cozy. My
I love that.
cozies. What's your
Yeah. And to
cozy?
me, well, I mean, generally speaking, a bath is, it's funny you say
Yes.
bath because I actually haven't taken one in a while and it's hot here. I'm in Vegas. I'm in the
Yeah.
desert and it's 90 something degrees, but I took one last night and I put salt in it. I put bubbles in it. I put bath oil
Yeah.
in it. I do it all. So now I need to incorporate your products in my bath. That's what I'm going to do. It's like it's always, what's making you cozy? A bath, but yeah, a bath is making me cozy. That
Yeah.
is what's
Me
doing
too.
it.
Same. Same. And it's consistent. I just built it in Sunday night. Again, put it on your calendar. Carve out that
Mm.
space. And then the family, like my kids will try to be like, can we take a beauty way bath with you? No. Love you. No. My daughter loves to take a beauty way bath, but it's on
Mm,
another time. That's
yeah.
my time to reset. And again, it's like 15, 20 minutes, but it makes me feel cozy and
Yeah.
grounded.
Yeah. And I find it restores my energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when it's 90, because it's getting pretty hot here
Yeah.
too. Well, we've got the AC, but just make sure the bath water's not super hot, so you still want to do it. But
Yes.
it is definitely
Yeah.
making me feel cozy.
Wonderful. Well, tell me and the listeners where we can find your products. And I think we have a code we can offer.
Yes. So you can find me on at the Beauty Way Co. So thebeautywayco.com online. My Instagram is at thebeautyway_co. You can find out, different places that I'm launching treatments on there. And I've got a couple of new products launching this year. So keeping up with that. So you know kind of what the newness is.
Thank you so much, Jyoti, for everything you shared today and for being on the podcast. It's been lovely.
Thank you. It's been so lovely. You have such a beautiful podcast voice.
Thank you.
I feel calm being around you. I'm like, oh, this is making me feel cozy. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I love to be able to chat with other women who are doing, similar things and working on that inner peace and that inner connection and calm within ourselves. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Of course. All right. Stay cozy, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.